All right, guys. So one of the things that we're always looking at is how can we make more power? And when we look at our intake and exhaust, a lot of times we want to modify that. What can we do? Well, a couple things we can do are use a turbocharger or a supercharger. You go, well, what is that going to do other than sound cool and look cool? Well, what these guys do is they enable you to have more air pushed into your engine. You go, yeah, air, more power. Hang on a second. It's not just about the air. The reason that more air will provide more power is because if you have more air, you can add more fuel. The fuel is where the power comes from, not the air. It's just that we have to burn that fuel. So when we get more air, we can add more fuel, then we get more power. Okay, so how do these guys work? Well, turbocharger is kind of cool. This little guy takes exhaust gases and it pushes it through and spins a little tiny turbine. When that turbine spins, there's a shaft that runs from one side to the other, and it spins another little wheel that's called a compressor, and that actually pulls more air in, compresses it, and shoves a denser charge of air into the engine. More air, more fuel, more power. Okay, this guy's kind of cool. It spins really, really fast, so it needs some oil to run through and keep the bearings lubricated, but it also has some cooling lines to keep those bearings cool. This is a neat little device, not very big either. So there's our turbocharger. But what about a supercharger? How does it work? Well, it also has an impeller or a compressor that will actually draw air in, compress it, and enable you to push more air into your engine. So it draws it in there and it pushes it out here into the engine. The difference is, instead of being driven by the exhaust gases, this is driven by a pulley. So a belt that's driven by the crankshaft of the engine will spin this and it will draw more air in, compress it, and push it into the engine. Okay? The advantage of this is it's always running and ready to go because it's attached to the front of the engine. The disadvantage is it does take a little bit of power away from that engine. So similarly with this guy, it's going to compress, but its advantage is it's using waste gases that come out the exhaust to actually make this compressor spin. Kind of cool. So here's a couple ways, turbocharger and supercharger, to add more air so we can add more fuel so we can get more power. All right, take a look at the other couple of videos. I think you've gone through the notes already, and hopefully that will give you kind of an explanation of turbochargers and superchargers. Right on. Talk to you later.